Truong couldn't believe his eyes. His heart clenched as Tieu Nu suddenly collapsed unconscious in the heavy silence. It had been so long since he last saw her, but instead of joy, all he felt was panic and fear. Could she make it? And what about the baby? Was it safe? In this moment of desperation, could Truong save her before the secrets of Tieu Nu's past are revealed? The truths that no one knew are about to come to light, and will their love be strong enough to face the challenges ahead? All will be revealed in this episode. After a long day of struggling with her sales at the market, Tieu Nu felt completely drained. Sweat soaked her forehead, and her arms were numb from carrying so much weight. She found a quiet spot by the side of the road, sat down, and leaned against the cold wall to rest. The sounds around her began to fade, leaving only her scattered thoughts. In that moment, Tieu Nu thought of Truong. She remembered the peaceful afternoons they shared, talking about their dreams and hopes for a happy future. That warmth now seemed so far away, fading into a blur of longing and loneliness. Truong had been gone for so long, and Tieu Nu didn't know if he would ever return to help her face these overwhelming challenges. She looked down at her growing belly, feeling the gentle movements of the baby inside. Each little kick reminded her of the huge responsibility she was carrying. The baby was the only connection she had to Truong right now, but it also felt like a burden, making everything harder. Daily life was already tough, and now she was weighed down by worries about her health and the uncertain future ahead. Tieu Nu wondered if Truong knew what she was going through. She didn't want him to see her, as Weak didn't want him to worry even more. But the loneliness, exhaustion, and constant stress weighed heavily on her, making each day harder to bear. The people around her couldn't understand what she was going through, the struggles she faced every day. Surrounded by people, she still felt alone, as though no one truly shared her pain despite the sympathetic glances from others. Facing all these challenges, Tieu Nu could only grit her teeth and endure. She tried her best not to break, but each day she felt her strength draining. She needed Truong, needed his presence, but she had no idea when he would come back. In her moment of exhaustion, all she could do was hope that one day Truong would return and they would face these storms together. But whether that hope would become reality or remain a distant dream was still an unanswered question. After a long, exhausting day, Tieu Nu felt her body completely drained. A dull headache throbbed in her temples, accompanied by dizziness that made everything around her seem to spin. Her steps grew heavier, and just as she tried to steady herself, a sharp pain hit her, suddenly causing her to collapse to the ground. Her body couldn't take it anymore, and she lay there motionless as darkness slowly took over her vision. At that moment, Truong stood at the gate of Tieu Nu's house, his heart racing in his chest. The sharp suit he wore wasn't just for an important meeting, but a reminder to himself of his growth, his seriousness about his feelings for Tieu Nu. He gripped the bouquet tightly, a symbol of the hope and love he had kept hidden for so long. He couldn't stop thinking about the time they spent apart, the silence and invisible distance between them that weighed heavily on his heart. But now, standing in front of her gate, all his worries and doubts melted away. The excitement and anticipation filled his mind. He imagined the moment she'd open the door, what her gaze would be like, and whether their relationship had changed in any way. In just a few seconds, everything changed. Truong was no longer just a man walking into her house with a bouquet in hand. He was the one carrying hope, memories, and dreams of an uncertain future. But when he saw the scene before him, his heart stopped. Truong saw Tieu lying there motionless, her eyes closed. The bouquet in his hands fell to the ground, meaningless in that moment. Panic surged in him, and fear paralyzed his legs for a moment. But there was no time to waste. Truong rushed to Tieu's side. The sight of her like this was a shock to him. He couldn't believe that the woman he had always loved and cared for was in such a state. He knelt down quickly, lifting her up, feeling her weight, her weak breath, and her cold hands. His heart tightened. He called her name in a panic, but Tieu didn't respond, only deep silence. A wave of helplessness washed over him. He had imagined this moment so many times, but facing it now, everything felt unbearably painful. Without thinking further, Truong hurriedly picked Tieu up, trying to lift her with all his strength. He knew if he didn't act quickly, things would only get worse. His steps were rushed, filled with worry, as if he were running toward anyone who could help. But in that moment, everything around him seemed to fade except for Tieu. All of Truong's emotions, anxiety and fear merged together, making him almost lose his sense of direction. Would she wake up? Was the baby okay? Truong couldn't think of anything else but getting Tieu to safety. Now they were facing a huge challenge that no one could predict the outcome of. His heart was heavy, just hoping Tieu wouldn't leave him, not even for a moment. Will Truong find out if the baby in Tieu's womb is his? This question constantly spins in his mind, making his heart heavy with worry and unease. Throughout their relationship, they faced countless challenges, but never has Truong felt this tension so clearly. The sweet moments and beautiful memories now seem insignificant, as a single truth has the power to change everything. When Truong looks at Tieu, he knows one thing for sure: she is the one he loves, and he will never let her face this alone. But can he do that when everything around him begins to fall apart? Will Tieu be able to keep hiding the truth? Or will she eventually have to face the question Truong has always feared? The pain and exhaustion Tieu feels are just a small part of a much bigger picture that Truong can't see yet. She's had to face many challenges alone, and now the child in her womb could be the key to unlocking all the secrets. Don't miss the next twists in this story, because only in these tense moments will Truong and Tieu's journey reveal secrets that have never been uncovered before.